I go into Barnes and Noble and I buy that pretty planner every January with the highest hopes. For the women that buy the whiteboard and put it on their wall, there is nobody like a squirrel-brained woman with more hope than when we buy a new system for organizing ourselves.
Oh, and we're so excited too.
We
And it's
are.
just so cute because this one's going to work. This time
This
it's going to
one
work.
will work. But see, the reason it's different, honey, is because this one, this person I follow, she uses it.
Welcome to Overwhelmed to Overcomer podcast with coach, encourager, and strategist Anna McLaughlin. If you're a Christian woman who has big dreams rooted in an even bigger God, but most days those dreams feel completely out of reach, trust me, I get it. As a homeschooling mama of 4, entrepreneur, investor, and all around wearer of many hats, I am right there with you. And yet the Lord invites us to live out our God-given purpose now in the midst of the madness. So let's explore together how we can know our calling and walk in it today with clarity, with courage, with each other. It's time for you to live the life you love and love the life you live. Let's do this thing.
Hello and welcome to this latest episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. I have Kelly Leardon here, and you're going to be in for such a treat. We're talking all things systems, organization, and getting to put out your hair that may have been on fire even as recently as just a few minutes ago. Kelly, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
I'm so glad to have you. So tell me how you got into this all important work of saving us from feeling crazy all the time.
You know how you're busy all day, and then when your head hits the pillow, you try to remember what you did, and you're like, I have no idea what I did all day. But I do
Yes.
know I didn't sit down, and I do know I hardly got to take a breath. So that was sort of my story. And Keith and I, we've been married almost 26 years. We have 4 kids. I homeschooled them. And I always had this entrepreneurial spirit about me, but whatever you want to put the label on it, squirrel brain, whatever, I just knew that my brain did not work like other people's. And I would buy all the homeschool mom books and color coding your calendar and putting the little post-it notes on your calendar, little 15-minute little stickies on your calendar. And I remember I would look at the clock and it was 10:09 and I was still on the 8 a.m. activity and I would start to feel my heart beat faster. And then I would
Yes.
almost be in like a panic state because I just felt so anxious the whole day because I just could not hit those times. And I'm the person that leaves the laundry in the washing machine for 3 days and then remembers. It's just a whole mess. Like I was saying to my daughter yesterday, I put off washing my bedding because I will start it at 8 o'clock at night and then I'll go to try to go to bed and I'm like, where's the bedding? And it's still in the washing machine. I'm just such a mess. And so what happened was as my kids got older, I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I was in direct sales as my very first business when I was 20 years old. I really started to have a heart for helping women who were totally overwhelmed, wearing tons of hats. I think that something we don't talk about enough in the church is guilt and how the enemy uses guilt as a weapon against us. And so I don't know that men experience guilt the way that we do. So for example, I obviously have my own business. I'm a business coach. If I put a lot of effort into the business, then I feel guilty because my kids didn't get the best of me. Then if my business and the kids get the best of me, then Keith doesn't get the best of me. If I really crush it that day and all three are very well balanced, the house is a disaster. So it just sort of feels
Yes.
like we're always going to bed feeling like I didn't do enough. I don't know if it was enough. And so I was a little bit of my story was that as my kids got older, there's this amazing private Christian school in our area. And I was working for like its parent company. So if I worked there, they could go at a discount. And I thought this is great. And I was really getting the itch to kind of get back into the workforce as my kids were getting older. They wanted to just try out doing that for a year. And you know what? I landed my dream job.
Wow.
And what came with that was working 60 to 90 hours a week in the year of COVID. It
Oh,
was very difficult. My husband was still working. He wasn't furloughed, but he was working from home. So I feel like God just orchestrated all of that so that we could even make that work. But while I was having all the success and accolades in that environment and working in a role I absolutely loved, I didn't want to be that mom that was leaving when it was dark out and getting home when it was dark out and picking up fast food for dinner. And I was like, what has happened? I was like Susie, homemaker, homeschooling my kids. And now I have all like the world success. And it was a Christian organization. So, I mean, felt like I was pouring into my team and those types of things, but I thought can't live like this. And what ended up happening was I have a hard time talking about this without crying. My oldest was getting married, and the wedding was a few hours north of our house. And so there was no limo or something. I was driving the bridesmaids to the venue, and the phone rang, and it was the CEO. And I answered the phone on her wedding day, driving up there. And I ended up being on the phone for about a half hour. And even when my finger was reaching out to push the button on the screen, everything in my spirit was like, don't do it, don't do it. And when I got off, he was calling to offer me the promotion of a lifetime. It was like something I could not have even imagined being offered to me. I felt so undeserving of it. But I knew the second I hit end on that call that I was going to have to give my notice.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her eyes in the rearview mirror, and she wasn't mad. She was so sad.
Oh.
So I couldn't get that moment back. I did give my notice. Me being me, I gave 12 weeks notice, but they ended up, so that happened. I decided to really build out my business as a fractional director of operations. I was mostly working with men. And I realized, you know what? I don't have any kind of social media footprint anywhere. Maybe I should just start this page. I called it Walk Like Warriors. A little bit of a play on Ephesians 6, putting on the full armor of God. And then my name, Kelly, means warrior woman. So I thought, okay, we'll do this whole play on this.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely very fitting if you know my
Yes.
personality. And so a funny thing started happening, and it was really a faith-based page. That was my heart, Anna. I just wanted it to be a faith-based page. But these women heard that I was a director of ops, and they started coming to me for business advice. And I had a little bit of a crisis with my husband because I'm like, I don't want to monetize this. It feels so wrong and gross, but that's all that they want from me. And he was like, Kelly, that can still be ministry too. And I think what you should do is do the business part of it for 3 months and then stop and do the faith-based part of it for 3 months. Like the faith can infuse the business strategy. It's not binary, but he's like, God will show you, like you will be very clear. And I'm telling you what, Anna, the page itself didn't take off. I've never gone viral, but the income replaced my director of ops income within like 6 weeks. And so it just was so obvious that that's what God wanted.
And I just want to underline something because someone needs to hear this. You said something, and I don't know if I'll catch the words exactly right, but basically your husband said it's okay to earn money and serve the Lord at the same
Yes.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
friend, it's okay to earn money and serve the Lord at the same time. The two are not, it doesn't cancel each other out. It's okay. Okay.
I love that you said that. And I'm going to dovetail on that because I was raised in a wonderful, godly home, but every church we went to, when we would move sometimes and things like that. But this is particularly like in the 80s and 90s because I'm ancient. But
I'm right there with you.
the Proverbs 31 woman in these churches was held up as the stay-at-home mom who didn't work. And so I always thought, oh, to be a Proverbs 31 woman, you don't work. And I love staying home with my kids. I love trying to do the very best I can to serve Keith and our 4 kids. That said, I was in a women's Bible study. I was a young mom, and we were going through the book of Proverbs, and we landed on Proverbs 31. And the teacher said, I want you to circle every time it talks about her industry, her work ethic, how she was making money. And she's like, compare that to the verses about her children, because there's more of those.
Yeah. You know, that's really funny, Kelly. That's actually the original name of this podcast was She Considers a Field. And that's my social media handle for that exact reason, because
No way.
because I thought the same thing of like, if I'm really going to be faithful, I wouldn't even go to the grocery store without my children when I first left being a lawyer, because I thought anything that was apart from them was unholy. And then that concept of She Considers a Field and she buys it, my husband and I do real estate investment is one of our things, was part of that healing journey of just that I feel like in some ways I'm still navigating. And I think that's part of what we're going to talk about today because of the guilt. It's like, what, figuring out what does it actually look like day to day to consider a field and to buy it and to weave the flax, and her hands are never idle and the lights on, all the time and all of that. And the ships come in and the merchants and everything, how do we actually play that out without having our head rotating 360 degrees all the time.
Right.
So yes, this is so beautiful of like, it's okay. It's okay to serve in the marketplace, and it can be part of how we advance the kingdom of God. And it doesn't, and walking that out very much needs to be submitted to the Lord's authority. But it's like, these are all kingdom things. Mm,
Absolutely. And just like what you said, how you would take your kids to the grocery store. There's that guilt again.
yeah.
Like, in order to be a godly wife and mom, I have to do this, I have to do that. I think those are burdens we put on ourselves. And
Yes.
this is not something where if someone is a stay-at-home mommy and not working, that means she's not a Proverbs 31 woman. What I'm saying is that I feel like the church has really done a disservice in that women who, so you, let's say working from home, you're still pouring into your kids and serving that
Mhm.
household. It's like it's not an either or, it's a both and. But I literally felt like that was sinful because of the way the churches would talk about that when I was growing up. I had such a grappling with that. And then I went back to school. I think at the age of 38, I wanted my biblical studies degree. And so once I learned the tools to be able to actually understand the like the original language, I mean, I did the most in-depth study trying to actually prove it wrong. And I'm like, no, she's not supposed to work. I don't think she is. Even though I did work as I was homeschooling my kids, I was a professional photographer when we lived in New York, all these things. But I think I always felt this tremendous guilt. Like, I don't know if this is okay. I don't know if it's right. I don't want to do things that take time away from my family. But through that, I feel like we could go on about this for so long, but it is kingdom work.
Yes.
And it's really been interesting. And I don't think one's right and one's wrong, but there's a lot of Christian business coaches that will not let people who are not Christians into their program. And I really prayed
Mhm.
about that. And I felt like I really teach good old fashioned business strategy and time management. I'm a time management ninja, even though I have squirrel brain. I think that's what people like about me is they're like, your brain is messed up like mine. If you could help yourself, you could certainly help me. And I just felt that I'm not like the course, my group program, it's not Bible based. It's good old fashioned business principles infused by a lot of it's the book of Ecclesiastes. I believe we're supposed to work hard. I believe that hard work is our calling. It should make us feel good. It is ministry, but we should also enjoy the fruit of our labor. So I teach work hard, play hard, rest hard. I want the whole package, like the book of Ecclesiastes talks about. So I'll take them all. And I had a very interesting moment, Anna. I had somebody, she was a divorce coach. She said that she helps women get divorced, how to leave their husbands. And I was like, oh, Keith, what do I do? I don't, she said to me, she said, I have been so poorly treated by Christians. I'm assuming you're going to tell me I can't be a part of it. And I understand, but I did want to ask if I can be part of your group program. And I really prayed about it because that's one where it's like fully against scripture. Like, it's just against
Yeah.
where my heart is. But I said to Keith, I said, you know what? It's that she said she's been so hurt by Christians. I'm having her in. And she messaged me at the end of the group program and she said, I have never been with a more loving group of people in my whole life.
Oh,
Um, and now she's pivoted and she's not doing that anymore. She's a coach for network marketers. I'm just like, it's just
wow.
been cool. But like you said, I mean, I've had women who are atheists who have said, your program saved my marriage. I've had women who are Christians say it saved my marriage. So it really is ministry in the secular marketplace. So what God can do is amazing. I don't take any credit for it at all.
Yeah, you're his hands though, my friend. You're his hands. That's a beautiful thing. Okay. So take me in. What do we do? Squirrel brain. So it'd be like 10 p.m., head hits the pillow. What have I done all
Yes.
day? Where do we start? What's the beginning?
It's a great question. I love this question. And I believe that for some people, because I love the field of psychology. And it's interesting because my oldest daughter is an addictions counselor at a men's prison. And my oldest son is a jailer at our county jail and wants to be a police officer. I mean, we just have a whole group of people that want to reach the hurting. And
Yes.
I really believe it's kind of like a bell curve. So some women will actually really enjoy time diaries and highly structured time like planners and calendars and everything for them is a Google sheet that's all color coded by the minute. The child eats at this time. This one reads at this time. For them, this is gonna I'll just tell them, and Anna, I'm sorry to say it, you don't have to listen to the rest of this podcast because you're gonna be like, this girl be crazy, and I don't even know why people listen.
Yeah,
But for
not you.
everybody else who's like, I go into Barnes and Noble and I buy that pretty planner every January with the highest hopes. For the women that buy the whiteboard and put it on their wall, there is nobody like a squirrel-brained woman with more hope than when we buy a new system for organizing ourselves.
Oh, and we're so excited too.
We
And it's
are.
just so cute because this one's going to work. This
This
time it's going to
one
work.
will work. But see, the reason it's different, honey, is because this one, this person I follow, she uses it. So, yes, this is for them. And so, the time diary, any book that starts with document how you're spending your time, it's like, I don't even know. I look up and I do this little game with myself where I try to guess the time because I have time blindness. So I'll be on the tread in the morning. I bring my laptop down. I do a little bit of work on the treadmill and I'll think, oh, you know what? It's probably like 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning. It's like 11:30 in the morning. I'm not even remotely close. So time diaries, that's not going to work for me. So I believe instead of batching tasks, we should theme our days. And so I'll talk about it from a business perspective, but this totally, if a woman's listening and she homeschools, okay, or her kids go to school, but she's doing a lot of volunteer work at her church or something like that, is developing a rhythm, a ritual to our day. And so instead of thinking about having all these tasks all spread out, that really does not work. And I think especially for women. And so I teach batching your days, theming your days, and doing certain tasks on certain days. So automatically, instead of holding right now, you're probably holding 290 tasks in your head right now. If we simply split them across 6 days of the week, automatically there's just less to think about. There's less to have to remember to do. There's less to have to panic about. A lot of what happens with the fatigue that's happening in our brain is holding so much. And often we'll put some stuff in our notes app, some stuff in our planner, some stuff in a notebook, some stuff in Post-its. And then we feel a little bit of relief, but now like for me right now, I have, I think, over 1,500 notes in my notes app. I don't know what all is in there anymore. And so
Some of it's probably really good too, Kelly.
I wonder. Sometimes I really think there could be some gold in there. At one point, I had all these talk titles. That's in there somewhere. But on Monday, so for my business owners, I teach them admin day. So on Monday, and it's not the whole day. So even though I'm saying admin day, it can mean 30 minutes. And so for a mom at home, this could look like that's the day you sort all the mail, you pay all the bills, you put all of the kids' school, sports, everything into your calendar. You look ahead and see if there's birthdays that week or the next week. It's just pretend you're an administrative assistant. Do those tasks like with like. When we sit down and our brain is kind of like in this realm of I'm at my desk or I have the laptop, I'm doing all my computer admin tasks. Like if you had a virtual assistant, what would you give her to do to make your life easier? And when we do that, when we spread it across the week, that could be 4 or 5 hours. Oh my goodness, I forgot to do this. And then we run to our computer and we pay that bill. Oh my goodness, I forgot that they have the award ceremony. I have to go to Walmart and buy the cupcakes for that. When we put it all together, instead of it taking 4 or 5 hours, it can actually take 20 or 30 minutes. Once we get in that groove where every Monday you're sitting down. So part one is theming the days. And then the sub part underneath that is theming the day isn't enough. You want to have an ordered list that you work through. And this is not structured whatsoever because again, we're just talking, it could be 15 minutes up to an hour. What I would encourage women to do is to do that first, not last. It's kind of like our devotional time. I've tried and I'm not saying there's a perfect time to do it, but when I do it first, I don't have to think all day like I got to make room for it. It's done. I always like to do my most important work first. So for a homeschool mommy, if she's going to have Monday be her admin day, she's just going to do that for however long it takes, and it'll get shorter and shorter every week. And then she can move on to homeschooling her kids the rest of the day. So right away, she's going to be able to be more present because she's not going to be thinking about, I think I forgot to pay the water bill. I can't remember when
Oh.
I was supposed to RSVP to that baby shower. And so it helps alleviate all this pressure of holding on to so much. And so for my business owners, I teach Tuesday is either content creation day, podcast day, if you've got a podcast like you, or if you don't have any of those things. So meeting day, I'm a business coach. So it's sort of like your day where your business is moving forward. And so let's say someone doesn't have a business, that could look like, this is my water and make it grow. So that is like your kid pouring into your kids, pouring into your plants, like whatever. And so really just
Oh.
picturing, these tasks, grouping like with like, and doing that Monday through Friday, because I do believe there's a lot to be said about our work week and following the natural rhythm of the way that our whole world is structured. On Saturday, what I teach is the word savor. I love that word savor.
I love that word.
So Keith and I, we like clean the house, do the little yard work or whatever. But our goal for that day is to be with family and friends, to have fun. So we'll do like little fun dates. We went hiking on Saturday with our daughter and her husband. We did a bonfire Saturday night. Saturday is all about fun, relationships, joy. I always say, what on earth are we working so hard for if it's not to enjoy it? So there's that thread from the book of Ecclesiastes, to eat and drink and be merry, because those things come from the hand of God. And
Yeah.
so by celebrating, by being able to stop and do that, we're honoring God and having joy in those moments. And then Sunday is Sabbath. Now,
Yeah.
that word can get people kind of riled up. It's not a commandment or anything like that. But scripture is pretty clear that it is a gift, and you don't have to open a gift. And so, Anna, right, I could send you the most beautifully wrapped, gorgeous little Tiffany blue box for Christmas. You could just leave it under your tree. You could never open it until the kids throw it out or the dog eats it. You could just leave it. You don't have to open it. I don't know why you wouldn't open it, but you don't have to. And it's one of the 10 commandments.
Yeah.
So I think when people are like, that's Old Testament law, but there's no other commandment that we're so willing to break. And so we go to church and we serve, but I, believe it or not, I don't work, but I also don't do any chores. I don't do laundry. This is not a set of rules. Like, it's not like, well, you can't use your microwave because that's pushing a button. It's not like that, but it is being able to let your body totally stop. So
Yes.
I try to be phone free. I try to be screen free, not because I don't want to use electricity, not anything like that, but just I want time to slow down. And I cannot tell you how much peace and healing that brings to me. I was the woman that actually, I feel embarrassed to say this, especially to you, but Sunday was my most hated day of the week. I hated Sundays. It was get up, get the kids going. Everybody needs to be, showered, bath, everybody get dressed, stress, get home. Then everybody would eat. Then I'm cleaning up the kitchen. And then my husband would put on football. And I would find myself getting angry at the whole family because I'm dusting, vacuuming, 12 loads of laundry.
Yep.
And I started to actually feel anger and resentment toward my family. And I was in my biblical studies program. We had to pick one topic. I picked the Sabbath because I knew nothing about it. One of my friends was Jewish, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'll just learn this. I read, I think, 12 books on it. And at the time I decided to try it, that was when I was at that job that I told you about. So I was working at that point, probably about 60 hours a week. I was taking 18 credit hours in school. I
You
had
did both at the same time,
Yes. And
Kelly.
my husband was traveling Monday through Friday. So with 4 kids under the age of 13, or
Wow.
maybe under the age of 15, I think there's 4 kids I mean, I was literally, we had 3 cats, a dog. I mean, everything fell on me, everything. And I remember like laughing, kind of, I feel like how Sarah laughed behind the
Yeah.
tent. I was like, okay, God. Oh, and I'm not saying God said like, you need to practice the Sabbath. It was more
Yeah.
just like, I was laughing. I'm like, there is literally no way. I use Sunday for housework, groceries, errands, my schoolwork. And the first time I just eased into it, I just did 2 hours and then 4 and then 6. And I did it during that season. And it showed me if I could do it, I really feel like anyone can
Anyone
do
can
it.
do it. Yeah.
But what happens, I cannot talk about it without crying, but one, you become a wife and mom that has so much more joy because you have margin. My kids started calling Sunday, it's so hard for me to talk about this. They started calling Sunday Fun Mommy Day.
Oh.
And what it did was it spilled over into my whole life. And the other 6 days, I started to be able to stop feeling like I was producing and I was the one making the world go round.
Yeah.
Um, and what's so powerful, I really believe it's something in the spiritual realm. The way that I work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is like the barn is on fire. You've never seen somebody get so much done in so little time, but it's not frenetic. I'm not in a panic. I just step back on Mondays and I'm like, where did that energy come from? It's
Mhm.
coming from that my body and mind just shut down on Sunday and I can come in. It's like we live in Kentucky, so it's like the Kentucky Derby. It's like the horses just are snorting, pawing the ground. They want that gate to open. That's
Yes.
how I feel on Mondays. So anyway, I'm sorry to go on for so long, but I'm just so passionate about this. And even the way that God ran creation, and I'm not trying to do like um exegesis, like I'm not reading into it that God created in a pattern with the 6 days.
Mhm.
I'm not doing that. That's not proper to do it that way. But he followed this pattern, right? When he was creating, the things that had to be created first were created first. Like he
Yes.
couldn't create the fish without the water. So the water had to
Mhm.
come first. And I'm not saying that that means we have to follow theme days. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's just so interesting that God has patterns and rhythms all around us. And so I
Mhm.
think why this works so well for women is that they don't have to hold so much in their mind and they can follow this rhythm of work and play and rest.
Oh, I love this. Hey, friend, are you looking for a peaceful getaway where you can just breathe? A backdrop to your next hilarious girls' weekend? Or the destination for that crazy family trip? If so, our family would be honored to host you at our sweet retreat, Just Like Paradise. Located a block from the beach in beautiful family and dog friendly Oak Island, our home is perfect for families, group retreats, or even a solo or couples getaway. You know you need it. After years of praying over this home and asking others to do the same, peace is just baked into the walls. From the Three Seasons back porch to the fire pit, from the hot tub to the kids' room fully stocked with all the games, we've thought of everything to give you just the getaway you've been looking for. Simply send me a text at 704-810-1181 to skip the fees and enjoy an additional 10% discount on your next stay. Just mention the podcast. I've got you covered. We can't wait to host you at Just Like Paradise. Well, and I want to underline something you said that I think is such a beautiful invitation, is I think there's a lot of shame around failure to rest. Oh, I'm supposed to be resting and there's the Sabbath and I'm not keeping it. And yeah, so we either kind of just say, well, it doesn't matter, or like we feel guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is you started with 2 hours. I just think that's so beautiful. So just because for me, my husband works on the weekends, and so there kind of got to be a little bit of a drift where it was like, oh, we don't do on Sundays. Like that's our day of
Mm-hmm.
rest. And then it was like, well, he's not here, so I'll just, and I'm letting like dishes creep in and laundry creep in. And so for me, I'm sitting and because he's not home, so I've got to take care of the kids. But then Monday comes and I'm worn out still. And so I'm just taking this as an invitation and I'm extending it to you, my friend, to just say 2 hours, just 2 hours and start there and recognize that the gift is there. And, and really that what I hear you saying is, um, that you didn't lose time. Like you didn't lose, or rather you didn't lose productivity by laying down the time. So
Mm-hmm.
all the things that we think, and even if we did, isn't it worth it so that we live the life that's in alignment with this blessing that the Lord's provided for us? So, okay.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So, an invitation to live in rhythms. And this really resonates for me because how many times have I been like, oh, shoot, the birthday party? And then I'm like, I'm just going to do a quick thing. And really, my brain is tired because I'm a homeschool mom. So I'm like, well, I'm here. Let's just see what's happening on Kelly's Instagram page. And let's just see. And then my kids are like, you've been gone for 15 minutes. And now we are not interested in doing school anymore. And we have all found something else to do. So then I got to wrangle all the monkeys back. And I just think about, man, what if every time it popped into my brain, do people keep a list to be like, okay, admin day on Thursday when we get invited to the birthday party, I just put it on the list for admin day. Is that what happens or what do we do?
Yes. So the system is obviously designed for business owners. And so they're on their computers. So we use a Google sheet, like a Google spreadsheet with tabs at the bottom. And I teach them the system for Monday is admin day and what actually goes on there. So my background is that I'm a certified director of operations. And so I worked fractionally for people who are like, what does that even mean? It's like a miniature COO role. So it's like a step up from a project manager, a step down from a COO. And so what happens with business owners is they have no idea how to theme their days or what to put on it. Because in 2025 and beyond, people just think to grow their business, it's just posting stuff on social media, which really breaks my heart because there's like no strategy there. But I
Yeah.
digress. But if I was to adapt this system to a homeschool mom, for example, if she's on a laptop a lot and she likes Google Sheets, I would just start try to come up with your theme days. What makes sense for you? Do you need to have an errand day? I really think there's a lot of power in having something like an admin day, where it's all your bills, your calendaring, all the things like the technical pieces of running the home. It's also when I place my Walmart grocery order and I pick it up after I'm done working for that day. And so if they don't want to do that, then yes, either a note in their notes app separating the days of the week, don't put them all in one note. Have a whole note that's just called Monday. And what you want to do is just as you're working through it, if there's a lot of friction there, it means that something is there that shouldn't be grouped there. Just find out when would it make the most sense to do this activity. You want to try to keep it. What happens is a lot of times people break the system because women feel like, oh my goodness, this is this life preserver to me. And then they just try to put everything on there. What you want on there is things that occur weekly. So the daily pop-up stuff, you need to just deal with that as it comes in. But something like the birthday party invite, the bridal shower invite, all the bills, I really recommend just having a basket on your desk or counter or someplace where little ones aren't going to get into it. Put everything in there. You don't need to go through that every day. In fact, you're wasting a lot of time going through that every day. So if I was to open all my mail every day that it came in and deal with it one piece at a time, you're talking 10 to 15 minutes a day versus when I just do it once a week, it's like 30 minutes total. So you're not only having, sort of like my grandma Maggie used to say, a place for everything and everything in its place. This is what we're doing with our time. I love Dave Ramsey, how he says a budget is just telling every dollar where to go instead of wondering where it went. This is what I do for people's time. It's telling every day and every hour where to go instead of wondering, I don't know where my time went. And so I know everyone's begging me to come out with like a home management system because it clicks with people's brains. But yes, it would look like with like, so if it's going to be computer activities, just do all your computer activities at the same day. Name that day whatever is fun for you. And if it's going to be, so for example, and I got this from Fly Lady. I don't know, do you know who Fly Lady is?
Yes, she
Kind
was
of,
one
I
of the
think,
first people that I started following.
yes,
Dress to shoes and
yes.
soap is soap. Those are the things I remember right now.
Yes. So it's sort of like that, but I think a lot of us, so we say we don't have time, but we actually do have time, which causes us to waste time. I
Yes.
know this is it's so paradoxical, but because we're stay-at-home moms or women who work but are working from home or a combination therein, we don't have time, but we technically do, which leads us to, I'm going to just run out to get this thing real quick. And then the next day I'm going to run out. And then 2 days later, our child has a dentist appointment. And it's like, that really should just get combined. But because we have the gift of being able to do that whenever we want, we sort of develop these patterns and these habits that are really bad for us, which is ping
Yeah.
ponging and ricocheting across all these different things instead of thinking, I'm going to group like with like. Does this actually have to get done this second? Or can this wait for Monday admin day? And that's when I'm going to reply to this birthday. I'll RSVP for this thing. I'll put the soccer schedule into everybody's phones. When we do things piecemeal, that's how our brains start to get very overwhelmed. Like I said, I'm just trying to help people. If I can get you to put things in 7 buckets instead of having all the bucket material in your brain bouncing around, you're going to immediately feel a sense of relief. And then if we then organize those things in the order in which we would do them, it'll just lickety split. What I want women to focus on is don't put 50 tasks on there because you won't be able to do that in under 30 minutes. You want to be really strategic with how you think about it. But it's crazy when people start doing it, Anna, like they're always amazed. They'll look at the list. Oh, this is going to take me all day. And then the first time they do it, I always get the DMs on Instagram. I can't believe it. I did it in 2 hours. And I'm like, just you wait. I'll talk to you in a month. And then they'll come back a month later. I can do it in 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm telling you what, there's something really powerful to this.
This is amazing. Okay, because I can see it. I see because we have so much flexibility, then we just kind of take advantage of that. And I mean, for me, I'll call it whack-a-mole, where I'm just like, as soon as something comes up, I want to tackle it because I want to feel the sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. But that means that I'm going in 16 different directions. And I told you that when we first got on the phone, I was like, oh, Kelly, you wouldn't have wanted to talk to me yesterday because I was a mess. Well, it was because I'd played whack-a-mole all day. And
Mhm.
then we went into church and we kept for our Wednesday night service, and we kept our little kids with us, our younger ones, and they kept whispering and playing. And I've just got like one ear out. So it kind of like reminds me of what you're talking about, where the tabs never close.
Mhm.
And then we're irritable. We're
Mhm.
cranky, we're frustrated. And so I love what you're talking about of just this sense of, okay, tell me the word again because I can't even hold it. Is it rhythms? Or do we have
Yes.
rhythms? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So, all right. So we need the rhythms. Okay. So talk to me. A lot of my listeners have home-based businesses themselves. So talk to me about that because that's its own special kind of insanity, I feel like. When and you
Yeah.
know it, and I know it too, where we're homeschooling, we've got kids at home, and there's this thing in us where we're like, I feel called to do this. And then I so resonate with what you're saying of we don't understand the funnel that we need to build a business of you need to get people knowing that you exist, but then you need to get them on a list and then you need to start, you need to have an offer for them that's a low ticket and then a higher ticket and all of that stuff. So what does it look like when you have both home responsibilities that might take up the majority of your time, but then also this home-based business too? How does that change things?
Yes, I like to tell women you can have everything you want. You just can't have everything you want all at the same time. So, I jokingly say this, and I hope this doesn't bristle any of the listeners, because obviously I'm a godly woman. I love the Lord, but I'm sort of in an empire building phase now. My youngest is 18. I wasn't working the hours in my business that I like 15 years ago. I wouldn't have been working like this. So even though I had my sights set on being able to bring something into the marketplace that fundamentally helps women be the best wife they can be, the most present mommy they can be, but also contribute to the family's income in a really significant way, I couldn't have done this 15 years ago. So I want to start and preface this just by saying, for the woman who maybe even has that itch, it doesn't mean you need to scratch that right this second. You really need to be prayerful about that. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I think this is the trap we fall into. So I see this like, for example, a network marketer. Somebody falls in love with, I don't even know the latest, greatest, but let's just say it's, I'm just trying to think of one of them. Give me one that's,
Like Shackley.
okay,
One of
Shackley.
my friends is with Shackley. Let's go with that.
I love that you said that because I was gonna say it, but I'm like, is it Shakely? I only say it Shackley in my head, but what if I say it
Yeah,
out loud and it's actually Shakely? Okay, thank you. So we're totally in sync with each other.
there we got it.
And then they get really excited. At first, it's going to be like, I can do this in the nooks and crannies of my day. But then they start going to the trainings. And then all of a sudden, they're trying to empire build when it's like, does your family need that? Do they need $20,000 a month? Yeah, that might be nice. But I thought you said you were going to be happy with 500 a month. We tend to keep moving the target once we get in those worlds. So it really comes to conversation with the husband, figuring out what you want from the business and the time you have to work it, what the end goals are, and then what that looks like. Because you're right, there's just so much to do. Is that like this is how this system works? Is I'll have a lot of women who are homeschooling their kids and they're like, I have 1 hour a day for my business. The way that most coaches teach it is do it in the cracks of your day. And I'm thinking that is the worst advice because then your 4-year-old is like, Mommy, read me a book, but you're trying to post on Instagram. And so you snap at your kid, then you go to bed
Mhm.
feeling like a horrible mother. What I would rather do is either you do it in the dark. So the dark hours are the best hours, either before everybody's up or after everybody goes to bed, or we used to have rest time. Okay, so I gotta just tell you this, Anna. My kids, when they were in elementary school, they and younger, they would like cry about rest time. They hated rest time. We
Yeah.
would go to the library every Friday, and our library let you get up to 50 books a person. So they would like each have their baskets and they'd fill them 20, 30 books. And then rest time was an hour directly after lunch where we made it a picnic. Everybody had to be in their own room. They would get a picnic blanket, spread it out on their bedroom floor, put all the books on it. And the rule was you need to read or look at the books for 1 hour. Now, my little ones, 2, 3, I didn't start them with an hour. I think I started them with 5 minutes or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
gave them a little bag of Cheerios. But that's when she would work the business if that's what she wants to do. Otherwise, it would be the dark hours, never in the cracks of the day. I think the cracks of the day is one of the worst things we tell women. We're so distracted when we do that. We're never fully present. We're not where our feet are. And then what it also leads to is you're always thinking about your work. And
Yes.
that's not good. You want to be when you are teaching that biology lesson, you want to be fully there. When you're thinking about, oh, someone commented and they said my link is broken, guess what? That's when you start snapping at your kid who did nothing wrong, but you're distracted. So the way that I teach the system when they build it out, and I coach this for free Monday through Friday in Instagram stories. So if everyone's like, yeah, but you just talked about home, you didn't talk about business, just follow me on Instagram. I'll do it every day. I talk about this. But essentially, I personally believe if you can swing it, it is worth it to just get up a little bit earlier and be super intentional with that time and have fence posts around that
Mm.
time. It's
Yes.
really important. If you feel like you want to do more and you have the bandwidth to do more, then instead of doing an hour a day, do an hour and a half a day. I think we tend to be so all or nothing with the
Yes.
way that we view things. I love the Stephen Covey quote, begin with the end in mind. So when someone comes to me for coaching, and I don't do any one-on-one ongoing coaching anymore, but if you came to me, I'd say, so what's the goal? What's the objective? And all Christian women are always like, well, I want my family to be the priority. And I'm like, yeah, but like statistic, like I need
Yeah.
numbers, metrics.
Yeah, like
And
really.
so, and if you said it's $2,000 a month, I would hold you to that. Because what happens is we move that goalpost, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I might want to work 20 hours a week. It's like, why? Why? You have exactly what you said you wanted. I think we have to be really careful because, it's First Timothy, godliness with contentment is great gain. Something that God's
Mm.
really working on me with right now is I am like a oldest daughter, high achiever. I want it all. And sometimes I'm just like, why do I have this business goal? I actually don't know why I have this goal, except that it just seems like the next right goal. And I really feel like God's just been pressing on my heart. Godliness with contentment is great gain. And so just really knowing what you're trying to get out of your business is so incredibly helpful. But you cannot homeschool, be a Proverbs 31 woman, and run a business without some kind of system for your time. I'm just going to say that boldly. It doesn't have to be mine, it could be anybody's. But whipping through your day like with your hair on fire, it is a recipe for feeling very frustrated. I want my women to have margin, Anna. I feel like margin.
Mhm.
I can always tell when I don't have enough margin because I stop being a flirtatious wife. So it sounds
Mm.
kind of shocking, but when I stop flirting with my husband, when I stop winking at him across the table, kissing his neck, I know that that is like an alarm bell in my head. Like you're starting to get kind of crabby, you're getting kind of cranky. Something in your schedule has got to change. And so that sounds so weird.
I
Um,
love that though, because that does that I think when we're in a sense of play, we need to have rest in our spirit. That's the only
yes.
way that we can really play.
I
So
love that. A
so
sense
good.
of play. Oh my goodness. I'm going to write that
Yeah.
down right now.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's such a
Mhm.
cute way to word it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I think I said a sense of rest and then you said a sense of play and I like yours better. Let's do that. Sense of play.
Look at us collabing
I
like
know.
this.
There we go. There we go. Just build something new. Let's go. Oh, this is so good. And you said, okay, tell me the First Timothy again. Contentment.
But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we'll be content with that. And we're balancing that with, I've also been really convicted with, if you have a brother or sister in need and you have the means to help them, you need to help them. And so part of it is our earning power really and truly can profoundly change people's lives. And so I meet with another Christian business owner and we talk through these things. You get to a certain level of success in business, which her and I have both reached. I do find myself moving the goalpost because I think, what if I could pay off our church's building?
Yeah.
What if I could dig a well in Africa? But that can again induce guilt. Like if I only worked more, I could. So it's like really the Lord has to guide and direct your steps with that. So it is, I want to be content. So one of my prayers is, help me, Lord, to want exactly what you want for my life. Nothing more, but also nothing less. And I think sometimes us American Christians, we tend to go ditch to ditch. It's just like Sabbath. It's either like,
Yes.
oh, there's all these rules and I can't turn on the lights, or I'm not doing it at all. It's not for me. It's like we don't have to be so extreme. And so I don't want more out of my life and business than what God wants. I want to have a heart of contentment. But you know what also scares me? What if I want less? What if I'm wanting less than what he has for me? And how do I know except to just pray him and pray to him and just really seek an answer? And it's not like a thunderbolt, Kelly, do this. It's just more like, if I'm wanting more than what you want in this season of life, I want you to close doors and I want you to take my desire for that thing away. And if I'm wanting less, I want you to put a fire in my bones. I want to feel it. Like, you, girl, I want more for you than this. And how would I ever know without him?
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay, so I'm gonna need to just bottle this up and just save it. And I know someone else does too. Because one of the core values in this conversation that we have here in Overwhelmed to Overcomer is courage. And I think one of the ditches with courage as a core value is the idea is we always push out further and further and further. If more is good, then most is better. And then having kind of had a year with some threshing at the beginning of the year, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going into a season of quiet and dormancy, really for the first time since I started walking more boldly with the Lord, because it was always out and courage and boldness and more and more. And now I'm like, okay, I don't want to overprotect and stay small though. And so that prayer that you shared, I just want to extend an invitation to whoever's listening that if this resonates with you, just like rewind back and I'll try to restate it as well. And maybe you can say it one more time, Kelly. Lord, can you just say it as a prayer, Kelly,
Yes,
just for anyone who
sure.
needs it?
Lord, help us to want what you want for our lives. Nothing more and also nothing less.
Amen. Mm, that's it. Like, and that's the walk. That's the walk of the believer, is may we just live the life he's called us to live. Because it's so true. Like we can try to push ahead because whether it's like one of the stories that's familiar to me is like, oh, I'm more useful though. Look, it's growing, so I must be more useful. Like you said, like the well in Africa. And when I was in more of a and small version of empire building, but when I was more in a building season, it was like, what if we could just pay off somebody's college tuition? What if we could just pay off someone's credit card? And we start to dream. And we do a lot with like investments. I get kind of nerdy about. I told my husband, I was like, I'm getting ready to talk to the kids about putting all of the money they make babysitting for us in a Roth. And it's like $2 an hour, right? But I was like, let's do it. Let's do it now while they're 7 and up. Um, but I think about what are they going to get to do because we put these pennies aside for them instead of keeping them for the next dinner out or whatever it is. And yet I think that we can miss a different invitation from the Lord, these seasons of rest, these seasons of connection. And so I love what you're saying of just may we be walking things out in the way that it's the gift. Oh, it's back to the gift that you're talking about. May we just open the gift that he has uniquely for us in this moment. So good. Mm. Okay. So I feel I want to go so many other places, but I'm like, Lord, what else do we need right now? I feel like we can sit here, but any other encouragement, anything I missed that's kind of just in this initial conversation? We're just getting started. We're going to connect with you. We're going to follow your account. We're going to sign up for all of the amazing tools that you have because you've got some amazing free resources on your website, my friend. You really
Thank
do.
you. I appreciate that. I think that it's so important for us to be countercultural.
Mhm.
And sometimes that even looks like being countercultural to the church. And I don't mean the larger church, the global church, never that. But sometimes we start to pick up the vernacular, the worldview, the desires of the people around us, and we just need to follow Jesus. We need to wholeheartedly run hard after him. And Keith and I have been in churches which are very, for lack of a better term, very American dream churches, like work hard, buy the house, buy the 3 cars, like send all the kids to private college. And like it, I'm not all of the places we've attended have loved the Lord. But then we've also gone to some where it's like, you can't take it with you. Who cares? And it's whether it's money, business, homeschooling, it doesn't matter. It's running hard after Christ.
Yes.
And making sure that you're not going ditch to ditch with things, but really laying it out before him. Is this the time to start the business? Is this the time to start homeschooling? Is this the time, instead of just always going with an agenda? And I think that, I wish I could think of it for you because I know you're going to ask me. I read prayer has always been the weakest part of my spiritual life. And I started praying that God would help me pray, like just and my
I love
pastor
that.
a year or so ago, he said this book, and you're going to ask me what it is, and I cannot think of it, but it's somewhere on this bookshelf, and I know it's blue, but that's
Yeah.
all I know. But it
We'll
talked
we'll
about,
put it in the show notes. We'll figure it
yeah,
out after we finish
you'll have to
talking.
ping me. But essentially, it talked about if you have squirrel brain and you struggle to focus, have an index card. And you could just write. So I just have one that says Keith. And behind that, I use little binder clips. And it's all my things that I want to pray about for Keith, like his health, his job, like all of these different things, our marriage. And that prayer that seemed to resonate with you, that ended up on an index card. And I think sometimes about how we are so influenced by the teachings around us, the worlds, the churches, that we sometimes hold those on the same plane as scripture. And the older I get, the more I'm just like, God, show me what I believe about you that is not true.
Mm.
And that was one of those things where he's starting to show me the not duality of scripture, but just like people who maybe don't want to work super hard, they want to cut corners, they like to sleep, they think work is bad, boring, they're always trying to get out of work. They tend to embrace the scriptures about, godliness with contentment is great. Well, I just need to be content with Jesus. But yet there's so many scriptures about how all hard work brings a profit, that hard work honors the Lord. So I'm always like, God, how do I hold these things in tandem? How do I have my right hand on one and my left hand on the other? You got to show me how to live in light of these things. And so that's really where that prayer came from, is I was like, I feel like some scriptures say this, some scriptures say this. So as somebody who tends to be very goal driven and I just love to be a high achiever. I'm not ever competing with other people. I'm very competitive with myself. I hold myself to a very high standard, but that's really where I've always beaten myself up over the last 15, 20 years about that. I've always wanted more. I've always been like, oh, I want to try this. It could be like, I want to learn the piano. I want to do this, but it's also in business. It's just always wanting more. And then beating the snot out of myself. It's terrible to want that. But then God was also just revealing to me that you don't want to want less though either.
Yes.
Don't want less than what I have for you. And he has called some people to build big things in the marketplace, and he's used those profoundly. And I look at like Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby and these people that had hearts to serve him and what he's done through that. And so, yeah, I would really just encourage to the woman listening, know the word. That's my biggest thing is we don't want other people telling us the word. We want to really know the word. And through that, God reveals his will to us. It's not through gut feelings and emotions. His word is truth. His word, Hebrews 4:12, it's alive, it's active, it's sharper than any sword on earth. And it pierces the dividing joints and marrow, and it judges the thoughts and attitudes of our heart. And so that's something that I really, if nothing else, even if a woman is struggling with guilt, struggling with her time, just spend time with Jesus. Find out what he wants to say to you, because it's in the million Bibles laying around your house. It's all there. What you need is all there.
That's it. That's it. And what I love, Kelly, is you've talked many times about like there are ditches on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we can get as women of faith who want to be faithful to the Lord, we can get really frustrated about that because we start looking outside other than at the word. We start looking out instead of up and going, well, what does he want me to do? And this person's doing this and this person's doing this, and looking for like silver bullets to answer whatever the needs of our heart are, whether it's our health or our time management or our relationship with our spouse or whatever it is. We are looking for these strategies. And the truth is, does more peace in my home mean that I lean out and I'm working more so that we can pay for support to implement some housekeeping and things like that? Does more peace and contentment in my home mean that I'm home and we're eating leftovers and eating out of the pantry and finally getting to that box of gluten-free angel hair pasta that nobody wants to eat? Ask me how I know that. That's how, this is my life right now, right? Jesus. I don't know. Jesus. No earthly person can tell us what the next step is. It's all within his hand. It's in his word. It's through communion with him. I love how you said your prayer was, Lord, teach me to pray. We get to ask it all. And so, for my friend who might be listening and saying, my hair's always on fire and I'm out looking for the next thing. Listen, Kelly, I really think a lot of you. I think a lot of everything that you're doing. I think it's beautiful. I see the Lord's hand at work. And I'm going to invite my friend who might be feeling scrambly and fearful to wait to reach out to Kelly until you've taken a deep breath and gone, Lord, what's my next step? And if you come from a place of peace and go, this would be a tool that would be a huge blessing in my life, reach out to Kelly. Follow her regardless, because man, wisdom and fire and all the things, right? Lots of free training and support. Get on her email list, do all of that. And then I love what she said, and I think it's so beautiful to hear from business owners who are operating in this space of real open-handedness to say, the Lord will lead. The Lord will lead in all ways. And all we need to do is just seek his face. So, Kelly, thank you so much for being here. What a privilege to get to hear your voice today.
You are amazing. I'm just like, I wish that after this we could have a cup of coffee for 4 hours together.
I know. Hey, we talked about it before. Let's do our virtual coffee date. We'll plan it right. I bet on your planning day, we'll plan it.
I love it. Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful for your listeners.
I know it was. Thank you, Kelly. And we'll have all the information on where they can find you in the notes. Is there anything else you would say about how they can connect with you?
I'm sure you will have it covered. You all are so organized over on your side of things. I was very impressed. So I'm sure it'll be in the show notes and all the things.
It will. All right. So thank you, Kelly, again. What a gift. And to you, friend, listen, take a breath and just think about before you turn it off. Take a minute to think about what was it that really stood out to me. We talked about Sabbath. We talked about really leaning into the word. We talked about asking the Lord, will you teach me how to pray? We talked about rhythms for your week, batching your time. No, that's not the right phrase. Rhythms for your week and putting things in categories, in buckets, right? Did I get it, Kelly?
Yes, I love it.
Okay, good. I'm learning my language. I love it. Okay, so take a moment and think, how am I going to live differently from here on out? You've invested your time listening to this podcast. So make a decision. How can I shift just 1% to be more faithful today? Until next time, as always, you've got this because he's got you.
Friend, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Overwhelmed to Overcomer. So listen, the whole idea behind this mission is that when we endeavor to be brave with our lives, we need to do it together. Belonging is key. So if you resonated with the message from this episode, share it with a friend. Do it together. Thank you again, and never forget, you've got this because he's got you.